It's been a crazy 48 hours for sure, but I think now that the Sunset Fire is mostly contained, there's a little bit more ease in the streets for sure.
So tell us about your situation. So your home is in the Sunset Fire, so you had to be evacuated. What was going on? What did you see around you?
That's right. Well, I suppose on the 7th, we lost the first real sign of the effects was we lost power to all of Hollywood for about 12 hours there on the 7th. And then, of course, on yesterday, the 8th for us, what started as, a small cloud of smoke over the Palisades from our view just turned into spot fires all across the city. So it was definitely a situation that changed very fast. And it's something that is definitely very reminiscent of what we went through in the 2019-2020 Black Summer fires. It's a very similar kind of atmosphere on the ground. And
so you lived in Australia during that time, is that right?
I did indeed. I was living in Canberra, not far from where some of the main blazes were. And so I suppose fortunately in that way, we had this sort of, we were able to kind of action plans that we'd already thought about, 3 years ago for those fires. So in that way, the Australians in LA have been a really good resource for the people of Los Angeles. It seems as though we just do have that experience and know to take it as seriously as we need to. But yeah, so after that, around about 6 o'clock last night, we received evacuation orders for most of Hollywood. And from that point on, it was obviously gridlock traffic and everyone just trying to save everyone that was close to them.
So your home is fine? Is that what you understand?
Thankfully now that the Sunset Fire is contained, a lot of the mandatory evacuation orders for the Hollywood area have been lifted. The other concern that we're kind of battling is this is obviously quite a neighborhood, so it's a ripe target for looting. That's a big problem in LA on any given day. And with so many units dispatched, a lot of people are heading back to their homes to protect their items. So it's definitely it's a multifaceted issue for sure. But yeah, thankfully things are calming down a little bit.
Can you tell us about the area? So this Sunset Fire was threatening a lot of, I guess, places that a lot of people would recognise in Hollywood. Can you describe it for us?
Absolutely. So the Sunset Fire it was at its peak, I think, about 20 acres. So this by no means is this a huge scale of fire. It's just how close that fire is to such a densely populated area. We're talking about this fire is within striking distance of the Hollywood Bowl, the Chinese Theatre, Hollywood Boulevard. These are iconic places of Los Angeles that everyone would know from maybe any movie that they've ever seen. So these places it's not as though that this is a wildfire raging out in the bush. This is, there's 20 million people in the Los Angeles greater area, metropolitan area that are all sitting around the news watching it right now, ready to leave.
Billy, what's the mood like? How are people feeling? We've heard already that a lot of people are angry, frustrated. We've heard about water running out, that firefighters are unable to use water. What's the mood like?
That's definitely a concern. And I think being able to talk about those things, while watching the news has actually helped people a lot to understand exactly where the pitfalls are in the system. The running out of water situation was absolutely dire. It seems like that's now the number one priority for the LAFD. But thankfully, now that those Santa Ana winds have calmed down, they're able to get helicopters into the areas and perform those water drops that they weren't able to do earlier in the day yesterday. That's what they attribute a lot of the fast spread to. It's just not being able to make those large warm water drops. But now that they're able to do that, things are starting to be a little bit more under control. That's just for the Sunset Fire. The Eden Fire that Barbara was talking about is still at 0% containment, as is the Palisades Fire. So it's definitely it definitely varies on the ground what the mood is. Some people have lost everything, and others are sitting in their house waiting for the fire to come in a lot of ways.